Hey, hi guys, good morning. It's good to be with you today. I hope you're having a fantastic day. And so we're talking about one of the big threes that Paul said that we need to have when we finish this race and have fought the good fight. We also need to have kept the faith. Last couple of days we've been talking about what that really means. We spoke about, first of all, that faith needs to be had before you can keep it. We spoke about defining what real faith is. And today I want to continue along the theme that Jesus speaks often about. He talks about the growth of this thing called faith. He speaks about faith being like a mustard seed. Put it in the ground, it dies, and then it blossoms and it grows to become one of the biggest of all trees. Now, in order to get from seed to being able to be a big tree, there's got to be this thing of growth. There's a beautiful example of this in real terms in life. One day Jesus met a man in Mark chapter 9, you can read this, and he met this man who was desperate, man. This guy had a demon-possessed child who was always trying to kill himself, throw himself in the fire and in the water, and he was desperate. He brings his child to Jesus and says, Jesus, if you can heal him, please do. And Jesus stops him and he says, if I can. Oh my man, you need to believe more than if I can. You need to believe that I can. But the if to the can is like a growth experience. And this man came with the most profound expression. He said to Jesus, Jesus, please help my unbelief. Help me to have more faith. Help me to have a greater quality of faith. Help me to really believe that I believe that I believe that I know that I know that I know that you are able to do this thing and that you will do this thing and you can do this thing. Jesus, help my unbelief. And Jesus said, bring that kid to me. And this man's faith went from 0 to hero instantaneously when he saw that his faith placed in Jesus was a great place to place it. And also he saw the growth of his own faith by experiencing a living growth. Now, Jesus uses the analogy of a tree. A tree has to be a living thing. Dead trees, I hate to tell you, don't grow. Only living trees grow. And so when we look at our faith, we need to understand how living it is. It's a living thing. Living things, people, need to be fed. You've got to feed that thing. Breakfast, lunch, and supper, man. You've got to exercise faith in order for it to be strong. It's a living thing. It's got to have rest. It's got to have restoration. It's got to have all those beautiful things that make a body or a tree grow. Have a look at your own life and ask yourself today, is my faith growing? Because if it's a living thing, it should be. We should have better faith, better quality faith today than we had yesterday as we experience trusting God. David did this when he stood before Saul, and Saul said, man, what entitles you to fight this big giant? And you know what happened? David said, man, I fought a bear, I fought a lion, I can do with this giant. I have exercised my faith at lower levels. So before you start fighting with giants, exercise your faith at a lower level. We see this man exercising against faith and saying, Lord, just help my unbelief. He started to feed his faith. He started to exercise his faith. He started to use his faith. And every time his faith produced the results, or even if it didn't, you don't have to have perfect results to grow your faith. Sometimes failure and disappointment is a mighty step in growing your faith. But Jesus said, faith is a living thing. Feed it. Feed it on the Word of God. Feed it with prayer. Feed it with fellowship. Do those three things and watch your faith begin to bring birth and begin to grow. Then exercise your faith. Start trusting God to a greater extent of the things that are challenging you in life. And watch if God won't come through for you, and watch your faith begin to grow. So let's come to Jesus and say, Jesus, help my unbelief. I really want to grow my faith. And I know what he's going to say. You better exercise that thing. You better feed that thing. And then watch as you do this one day after another, your faith will begin to grow at an incredibly fast rate. So I guess, people, the growth of your faith is pretty much in your hands. I hope you do it well. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye.